Hey guys, Dante here back with another little video. And firstly, I want to say I'm sorry that I didn't post videos in the few days, maybe weeks, but I got bored of PoE since it got extended and I just had to take a break. I've been playing Skyrim off stream or on stream, and yeah, uh, now with the new league coming on Friday, I want to talk to you about my future league starter and the build that I'm gonna currently be playing starting Friday, and I want to give you a quick rundown of it and how it works and stuff like that. And like I said, I will be streaming the league start on my Twitch, twitch.tv/Dante00151. Make sure to drop a follow and let me know if you have any questions. Also, I have a Discord server. The link will be in the description, so feel free to join if you want. Now, let's get into it. So, we're playing a Hexblast Ignite Elementalist. Now, how this works is basically we're running a Elementalist, and the only way we can get Doom is through self-casting a curse. Now, it is very important because you need to self-cast the curse to gain Doom. Curses that are triggered, like Vixens or Curse on Hit Rings, do not work. They do not gain Doom. Now, like taking the Doomsday Keystone changes a little bit how Doom works in a sense that for 1 second you gain no Doom, and after a second you gain your maximum Doom, which is 40 by default, and this can be increased by the Amulet Essence or alternate quality gems. I'm gonna show you this in game, and I'm gonna talk to you like this, but I want to go step by step first, and I'm gonna shoot it from the hip like that. Now, when using Hexblast on an enemy that is not cursed, you will not gain like the bonus of added damage. You will see that Hexblast gives you added damage per Doom on the target. Now, if you use Hexblast, like I said, on non-cursed enemies, you will do less damage. Max Doom can be increased, like I said, through various means, Essence Craft Amulet, alternate quality gems, and such. Now that you know, like the Doom, the Hexblast, and stuff like that, it's important to know that this build requires a little bit of a rotation, right? And we're going to be using our flammability as our main curse, and that goes into the rotation, which is flammability, exposure, Hexblast. Okay, so flammability, exposure, Hexblast. It's kind of like a WoW rotation, if you will, but not really. So basically, you want to curse the enemy, wait 1 second for the Doom to reach its maximum. You will see like when it makes the little pop. Excuse me. And then you want to inflict exposure, and you want to use Hexblast. After using Hexblast, you immediately want to reapply your curse, okay? Just to get the added benefits of extra damage, enemy has minus resistances and stuff like that, okay? So, curse, conviction, Hexblast, or you can squeeze in conviction between those whenever you want. It's like it's gonna take you a little bit of time to experiment and get your groove on and how to make everything feel comfortable for your playstyle. Okay, now let's go on to the next slide, and we're gonna talk about curses and curse limits. Now, by default, as a character, you only have access to one curse to afflict on your enemies. This can be increased by different means. You can use unique items. You can use ascendancy points, like for example, a cultist has it. You can use the anoint or pathing towards whispers of doom, and these give you a lot of benefits, like sometimes DPS wise, sometimes offensive wise. Now, for the beginning on League Star, we will be using one curse, and that is flammability. Very important to note that there is a little trick to Hexblast, and like I said, Hexblast needs to remove a curse to get added benefits, added damage, and you can use one of those curses with blasphemy, like you see here. Blasphemy will reserve a curse and convert it into an aura that reserves mana, and basically it's gonna constantly be applying that curse to nearby enemies. Now the downside is that you do not gain doom stacks on it. So it means that it's a quality of life for Hexblast, but it's also a downgrade from damage, okay? Now, this is all up to you. You can self-cast it or use it as an aura. I do recommend self-casting for the added damage, and it's gonna feel much, much, much better on single target. Now, please note that it's extremely important to self-cast it on bosses, otherwise your damage will be crap. Now, blasphemy is only as a last resort if you want to use it and you know what you're doing. Please do not just wing it. Okay. But if you do know what you're doing and you want to use blasphemy and you got everything sorted out, like the things that you can use are tame chains for defense and elemental weakness for additional damage, one of those, it's gonna be good. Okay. I'm gonna show you examples of this in game as well, so stay tuned. So in order for you on League Start to keep up and constantly be improving your build and so on and so forth, is keeping an eye out for the unique items that this build uses. Now, before you flip out and say, oh my god, unique items for League Start, oh my god, no. There are some mandatory uniques which are very cheap and some not so mandatory uniques that are still pretty cheap. Starting off with Doji's Damning is a 1C ring from day 1 to the end of the league. It gives you additional curse, some resist, like very minor. I do not recommend this ring because it's taking such a vital slot in your character slot that you can have life, res, all kinds of good stuff on your ring, especially life and res, missing attributes and such. But it's really cheap. You can take it, or if you drop it, you can use it until you get the second item that I want to talk about, which is Vixens. Vixens is a unique glove that gives you additional curse, just like the wedges, which is much better. It gives you life, and it triggers socketed curses when you self-cast a curse. What does this mean? So let's say you can use 2 curses now, one from default, one from Vixens, right? You are gonna have to self-cast Flammability, Link with Impending Doom, and then when you cast that, the gloves will automatically trigger Elemental Weakness, which will be socketed in them. I'm gonna show that also. Now, the third item that I want to talk about, and also on Vixens, that the curse that the Vixens trigger does not apply Doom. Okay, very important. Only the Flammability. Now, Wind Shriek or Wind Seer, I'm not sure how it's gonna be because they're removing prophecy and stuff like that, but this is like my go-to boots. They are very good. They have good mobility, like 25, I think, movement speed or something like that. +1 curse, good armor, good res, ally damage, all that good stuff. So on day 1, this was like in 3.16 when we had prophecies, they were like 40-50C. Probably they're gonna be a bit more expensive this league, but once you have them, you will keep them until very late in the end game. And I'm talking about like Uber Elder and Maven kind of end game levels. Okay, so 40C for end game per boost, I think it's just fine in my opinion. Now, Pyre is 1 to 3C on day 1, very cheap, huge amounts of damage, good resists. Pick it up as soon as you can. Okay, and for the last item that I want to talk about, there are some few more, but they're going to be in the PoB, is obviously your weapon. This is going to be a Martyr of Innocence, which is going to be your endgame weapon, and it has a tremendous amount of flat fire added and good block and stuff like that. I am reluctant to recommend any other weapon except Martyr, and it's gonna be the best in slot weapon until you either are done with the build or you have an enormous amount of currency that you want to sink in the build and upgrade to a Cane of Kulemak with +3 supports, fire damage over time multiplier. That is the only thing that's better than Martyr. Okay, so it's about between 50 to 100C on day 1. Again, you don't need it really on day 1. Maybe you want to get it on day 2, day 3. And you're probably asking, well, what do I use until I get Martyr? Well, let me get into the next one. You are going to be using rare items. And by these rare items, I'm meaning like gear that has the missing things that you need. Resists, life, attributes. Keep in mind that this build requires a little bit of dex, and you might be finding yourself short on that. So keep an eye out for items that have dexterity. So until you get your martyr, you want to use wands, double wands or wand and shield. And the main things you want to have on your wands is fire damage to spells, percent fire damage, burning damage, damage over time multi or something like that. Anything with fire damage and burning damage is gonna carry you very, very far. And of course, obviously flat fire spells or general. For the jewels, if you find some jewels that maybe you have a life surge active for, you want increase maximum life, fire damage, faster damage of elements, burning damage, damage over time multiplier, and basically these are the best things that you can have. A combination of these with maybe you're missing some resist, maybe you're missing some attributes. You can juggle these and activate a life surge, and you're gonna eventually find something that's good for you. Okay? Now, let's talk about defenses and what you're going to use for defenses. Let me just move myself. There we go. So I will be personally running Determination as my main defensive aura. Early game, you probably won't use it. I recommend using it like keeping it in your offhand and leveling continuously. And once you get the mana reservation nodes on the skill tree, which I will show you in the PoB section, you want to equip Determination and Defiance banner. Get as many armor pieces that you can, preferably your chest plate to be armor, helmet to be armor, stuff like that. So yeah, Determination, Defiance banner, Molten Shell. I personally level it to the max and use it on my left click. And it's gonna be up on cooldown, which is very good. You can link it to increase duration and stuff like that. And also Vitality from Act 1, always use it. It's very, very good and quality of life to have your life constantly regen, okay? And like I said, if you are using a Blasphemy and you know what you're doing, feel free to swap these auras around. Tailor the build to your playstyle, alright? If you want to use Malevolence, use Malevolence. If you want to use something else, use it. It's all up to you. Okay. So that's like the big things about the build. I do want to give a special thanks to Inco. He started this build in 3.16, and he had massive success with it. He actually got, like, I think for the week 1 a 300 death all or something. It was very nutty. So yeah, special thanks to him. His YouTube will be in the description if you want to go see some showcase of the actual build. You know, he has some videos on there. And yeah, like I said, I will be streaming this on twitch.tv/Dante00151. And feel free to subscribe and like the video. And now let's get into the PoB. Let me just bring it here. Here we go. Okay, so this is the PoB that I've been working on. As you can see here, I have leveling trees for all from level 1 all the way to the end game. And even in the end game, I have a PoB with just like the basic clusters, which wouldn't be very hard to get and find. This is without Anoint. This is without Martyr, without anything. Level 98. Keep in mind that getting to 98 without actually having a Martyr is very difficult. I mean, probably impossible. So yeah, I didn't swap out the items. This is like the basic items that you want to have. And I'm probably gonna be aiming for this setup. You might notice that it's a bit lower on the damage and only got 9.7 million, but that is because we are speccing heavily into defenses, as I like my build to... This build will die while doing the acts. It is kind of squishy and it's whatever, but when you get your mana reservation, stuff like that, you can use determination stuff. As you can see, the build can be pretty tanky once you're like end game. This is the setup for level 94, 93 actually, which is very achievable. 4.2k life, 34,000 armor, res capped, chaos, not really. But as you can see, the only thing that I have here is endurance charges from the small cluster jewel, convergence from ascendancy, enemy in low life because we are using punishment when we have 3 curses. Burning, igniting, whatever. This is like boss damage, by the way. Max of Doom of 40, which is the max you can get without crafting an amulet. And exposure to fire. So nothing too extravagant, stuff like that. And if you want to go like really big, level 100 with one large cluster, one medium, one small, with still the very budget gear. This gear is nothing except just some resistant life, and it can go way higher. And no flask, by the way. The only flask that I am using is a Rumi's concoction. You can use it, Series Promise. It's a very good flask. I highly recommend it. So yeah, this is the POB with leveling sections and notes, how to level from Act 1 all the way to the end game. Purchase order or stuff like that. Like the things that I mentioned in presentation also are listed here. So I got my Pantheon here, the bandits and stuff like that. So that being said, the POB will be in the description. So let me show you what I was talking about, Doom and stuff like that. So as you can see here, let me find some mobs. When you're casting Hexblast on an enemy, it won't do much. You're gonna just ignite them, right? And that's it. But now this is a single link, right? What is it? Let me put Proliv. So you see, like it ignites them. It prolifts a little bit, nothing too fancy. That's because we don't have a curse on them. Now let me get another pack. I curse them, and they just explode because how Hexblast actually works. Okay. Now the little explosion thing, like you see here, the little pop, that is because 1 second expired, and it means that the curse automatically inflicted maximum doom. Now keep that in mind. So you curse, you flam, and they go away, they burn. Okay. Also, now let me show you what happens when you use the Vixens. We're gonna use Hexblast over here, and in the Vixens we're gonna put our second curse, because we can use 2 curses, one curse from Vixens, one from our basic character. And as soon as I class flammability, you can see that it's already casting Elite Weakness as well. Keep in mind that Elite Weakness will not apply Doom, only flammability. So let me get another pack, you see, and boom, we have 2 curses. Just like that. This is basically your rotation, you curse, and you move on. Now, if you're using blasphemy, let me put this here. If you're using blasphemy, for example, we're gonna put Elite Weakness in here, and we're gonna put blasphemy in here. You can cast Elite Weakness as an aura. Now, whenever you're going too close to an enemy, you're gonna automatically apply this. It is less damage than self-casting flammability because you don't get the benefit of Doom. Again, but this is a very high quality of life feature that I personally enjoy, and is the way I like to play the game. Now, you don't need to do blasphemy if you want to be more defensive. Keep in mind the POB does not have a blasphemy setup, so you're gonna have to work that around. I don't want to include it because then you probably won't take into calculation the maximum curse and stuff like that, so I'm just gonna leave it as is. So yeah, that is like the example of the build. You cast, you get your curses, you Hexblast, apply with a conviction for even more damage and stuff like that. Okay, I think that is about everything that I have to show on the build. Again, please let me know if you have any questions or are you curious about the build. Feel free to join the Discord. I was doing 0 damage because I'm on no link. So yeah, all the links will be in the description. Feel free to join our Discord if you want. And I hope to see you guys on Friday on stream, twitch.tv/Dante00151. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on Friday.